Everything in Apple's Glowtime event, but way quicker. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. So Apple just completed the Glowtime event maybe just about an hour ago, but I'm going to try to get this wrapped up for you and give you all the same information in about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. Let's sit back and relax. Let's get into it. So Apple went through a whole bunch of products today, starting with the Apple Watch Series 10. And I'm going to start with that too. Take a look at my screen over here. You can see this little diagram that they put out there. Now, what is this? Why is this different? Well, the Series 10 is different for a lot of different ways, all right? So first of all, it's going to be 42 and 46 millimeter versus 41 and 45. So it actually got a little bit bigger, a lot bigger actually. Well, I guess not that much bigger, right? It's got the larger screen than the Ultra 2, it says, and I'll show you some pictures of that. At least it's comparable. It's got like a smaller bezel, but the screen is very, very large. You can see it there. Now, it says it also has a more curved screen, and it also is claiming that it has this basically a brand new wide-angle OLED display, which is brand new for it. So wide-angle OLED display on it. First ever, it's saying it's up to 40% brighter, and it's brighter off angle. You can see over here. So that's kind of cool. But it also says now it's coming with this basically brand new, it's called the Jet Black Glossy. It's basically a glossy black color. You can see it right here. I'll show you some pictures of this, but it's basically a new color they're claiming, but it's just a jet black and glossy, scratch resistant kind of finish on it. And they're saying that it can come both in aluminum, and they also have a new titanium as well if you want to pick that up as well. Obviously that's going to cost a little bit more. They're saying that it's the biggest display ever, the thinnest ever, right? So what does that mean? Thinnest ever, they're saying that basically, let me just see if I can find it, it's 9.7 millimeters, so it's going to be about 10% thinner than the previous version. It's going to be more comfortable on the wrist, so that's kind of cool. Obviously, it's coming with Watch OS 11. That's going to be giving you the AI features, at least some of them on the watch as well. They didn't get into too many details about that. Not really, but overall, it's going to maybe have a couple there with the new Watch OS 11 coming out. All right, they also said up to 18 hours of battery life. They didn't really get into too much on that as well as far as how much longer it is from before, but you can see right in this diagram, it's saying up to 18 hours. The other thing that they had mentioned was a speaker playback where you can actually play music through it now and listen to it like kind of like a Bluetooth speaker, which is kind of interesting. They showed that as well. Here's the jet black aluminum again. You can see it there. And then they went through a couple other things. Let me just see if I can find anything. It says it's better phone calls to suppress background noise, crash and fail protection. These are all kind of similar. It does come with the new S10 chip with the 4-core neural engine, which is kind of cool. And so that's going to obviously be a faster watch. Maybe it'll have some capability with the Apple Intelligence, but they didn't, obviously it's only a watch. That's going to be more for your phone when you kind of get down to the nitty gritty of it. So let's just keep moving here. Oh yeah, they did mention a couple new apps that are coming out on it for all it's worth. It says right here, it's coming out with a Tides app and a Depth app, so you can kind of read the tides coming in and out of different bays, and also a Depth app, and it says it's up to like, I think 40 meters or something. So for surfers or for people that are in the water, it'll tell you the depth that you're at up to a certain depth. I thought that was kind of cool. So what is the new watch going to start at? Well, it looks like around the same cost. It's going to be $399 for the GPS, $499 for the GPS and the cell version of it as well. So that's going to be the Apple Watch Series 10. Let me just see if I missed anything. Oh yeah, there's one big thing I did miss here actually. Let's go back here really quickly to where this graphic is. Sleep apnea right here. It's going to actually come out. This is going to be more on the Watch OS 11, not so much the watch itself, but they actually did get this built into it. So what this is going to do is it's going to record your sleep habits. It's going to go ahead and graph them. I think it said over like a month or something. And at the end of the month, if it feels like you might have it, it's going to say you potentially should go get checked for it because you could have sleep apnea. It's not really going to tell you for sure or not, I guess, because they're kind of, they don't want to, they're kind of, skirting that little area. But overall, I think it's a really cool addition here. And you can see it right there in the little diagram up here. I forgot about that. That was kind of one of the key things that they wanted to talk about for all it's worth. But again, we went over the costs. That's the Apple Watch Series 10. All right, the next one's going to be the Ultra Watch. And the funny thing here is if you go to Apple's website, it doesn't even say it's new. It's really not. They kind of skirted around it being a new watch. Here's the kind of the diagram that they gave for everything right here. And you can see the main difference that they're kind of giving here is this new finish. It's called they call it basically, let me just see here, available in satin black. It's a scratch resistant titanium. You can see it right here. And that's really the only difference that they're coming out with. It also comes out with some really cool titanium, same satin black bands that they came out with. And I'll show you some pictures of those as well. They also had a company, a Hermes company, I believe it's called, the designer company, Hermes or whatever they call them, really high-end designer. they made a band for it as well. But if you take a look at the diagram over here, nothing really else has changed except for this black titanium. It's called grade 5 black titanium. I guess a better grade of titanium. The size is the same. I mean, even like the batteries and stuff, everything should be the same here, up to 3,000 nits. So overall, I mean, they have a couple different faces right here. You can see right here, it's Apple Watch Hermes Ultra. You can see the watch face on it. But realistically, that's about it. They kept calling everything carbon neutral, but you're not getting anything new here except for the satin finish and that black titanium. So if that's what you want, you know, if you wanted some new features, they're not on the actual Ultra watch for all it's worth. So let's keep moving. After the Ultra, then they actually came out with the new AirPods 4, and here's the graphic for that. You can see them right here. What they kind of started off by saying it's the most comfortable that they've actually ever made before. They fit better in the ears. They kind of went through all these computer models to figure out what fits best in the ears for all it's worth. Then they went on to say, you know, it's got 30 hours of battery, which is actually up, you know, from I guess before. That's pretty good, you know, for all it's worth. It's got a brand new H2 Apple Silicon chip over here. So it's going to be, you know, obviously that's a plus. It's going to be a little bit more powerful as far as that's concerned. It says it's got new acoustic architecture. It's got personalized spatial audio. And then he says you can take hands-free calls now with them. And if you look up here, it's got Siri interaction. So you can shake your head when you ask Siri a question, and you can say yes or no. You don't have to actually speak. That's actually built into it. It's got sensors in there. It can tell you what's going on. It's got active noise cancellation as well, but it depends on the version, I believe. So we'll get into that in a second. You can see that there. It's got a force sensor basically built into the stem as well. And I believe it gives you some control over some stuff there as well if you want to go ahead and control them. I don't know if that's volume or playback and stuff like that, but they talked about that for a quick second. Transparency mode as well. Here's the new acoustic architecture. They showed a little kind of the internals of it as well. They got voice isolation built into it. So what they're basically saying is if you're in a call and there's a lot of noise on the outside, it's going to isolate your voice better. If you walk up to a person and you're talking to them, it'll lower the volume if you're listening to music and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on with these things as far as it's aware. I mean, they call it conversation awareness, adaptive audio. This is coming with it. And then seamless audio switching. You get the idea. Effortless setup. I mean, really, it's going to this is really the new ones that are coming out. They're claiming it's a better design and stuff like that. But overall, there's not a ton of new changes except for obviously the adaptive audio and stuff like that. So let's just keep moving here. Let's get to the cost of this. So here it is right here. It's the AirPods 4, $129. The AirPods 4, this is with the active noise cancellation. So you do have to pay more for that. You can see it right here. It's going to be $179. So it's going to be, what is that? Obviously $50 more for that. So you're going to have to really want that if you know, in order to pick those up. But for all it's worth, that was what was announced next. But let's keep going. All right, so next they actually went on then to the AirPods Max, all right? And we all took a step back. We're waiting to see what would happen. Nothing changed at all. Here's a picture of them. Here's the new colors you can get right here. You can see it's like this kind of gold color all the way down. You guys can look at the webpage, you know, Apple's site to see what the colors are. They changed that. The main change, the price stays the same, $549. The only really change they made to the entire things after all this time, they put on a USB-C plug instead of the lightning cable. And that's really about it. It says spatial audio, new colors, and not much else is really what I had written down there. So overall, the AirPods Max are not really changing at all. You get some new colors and you get the USB-C, but if you wanted something else, I mean, I think it might have like a new chip in it or something, but realistically, the sound, I don't even think it does actually. I don't think they mentioned that. So I think they're almost exactly the same. So Apple's really they must not be selling too many of these things, and they kind of put them on the back burner, and that's all they said about those. All right, so next they actually went on to talk about the AirPods Pro 2. And they're not changing as well, except the software is. So they, you know, obviously, as far as the design and coming out with a new version of it, it really isn't changing. So there's not much there. Here's the graphic here, and you can go ahead and see what they're saying. The main thing you can see right up here in the left-hand corner is this hearing aid. So what they said basically is it's going to have, you know, you put them in here, and it's going to have a hearing test number 1 for you. You can go ahead and take a hearing test, and then based on the hearing test, it's going to tell you if you have a hearing problem or not. And if you do, then you can, I guess the settings or AI will actually alter it so that it can move, you know, obviously for the outside world, people talk to you, it'll work as a hearing aid, and it's going to use that test to help you hear better. That's what they kind of said in the video. They didn't get into too much about that, but if you take a look at the graphic here, I mean, all the other ones are going to be the same, but this is going to be more based on the software. Conversation awareness, conversation boost. You can boost up conversations. Again, hearing aid, you know, noise app they're going to have in here. So it's going to be able to tell you when a noise is too loud for your ears and kind of warn you on that as well. personalized hearing profile. But if you get the idea here, it's more of this hearing, hearing protection. All these little features around your hearing is going to be what's built into the software now on basically the AirPods Pro 2. But again, nothing really else besides this is changing. For people that need a hearing aid or actually have hearing issues, it's really important, obviously. It could be, really important for a lot of people. But everything else as far as the design and the functionality and even the hardware and stuff hasn't really changed on them. So for all it's worth, that's what you get. So if you want hearing aids, definitely check it out. All right, so then we finally moved into the iPhones. I think that's what everyone was waiting for. That's kind of the star of the show. So what they did is they actually showed, here's the diagram right here. They started with the iPhone 16 and the 16 Plus. You can see it right here. So what happened? Well, first of all, they got a little bit bigger. 6.1 and 6.7 inches are the new sizes of those. So that's actually kind of cool. It says it's made from aluminum. The ceramic shield on the front of it is basically 50% stronger for scratch resistance and stuff like that. That's actually pretty good. It said it's up to 2,000 nits in light and can go all the way down to 1 nit in the darkness if you want to see something in a very, very dark area. That's kind of cool. It does have the action buttons. It has an action button as well, which you can program for various things that you want it to do. But the main claim to fame here, and I guess the thing that they talked about, was this new camera control button. And so the camera control button is a brand new button, and it's kind of sensitive in a lot of different ways, but you can obviously control your camera with it. It also mentioned that you can go ahead and just look at objects, and you can press the button a little bit, or I think they said halfway or something, or hold it or something, and it'll actually take a picture of a dog or something, and then it gives you all the information about that dog. Or you can take a picture of an event, and the event, all the information in the event will go into your, into your calendar if you wanted to. There's various ways that it'll work, but it basically feeds you information when you hold it up and use the camera button, which is actually kind of cool there. So they showed that, but that was a big thing where you can actually, if you slide your finger across it or if you half press it, it can focus. It does a lot of different things, which you're going to have to research yourself, but that was kind of the claim to fame, and we all knew that was coming as well. All right. So what else does it say? It says, let me see here. It's got the new A18 chip. So it's a 16-core neural engine. And they talked about this a lot. Let me just kind of scroll over here for a second. So in here you can see it says the A16 right here. They're claiming it's 30% faster than the iPhone 15. You can see it right here. So 30% faster on CPU performance, which is actually really cool. And if you scroll up here, GPU performance, they're saying is 40% faster than the iPhone. This is obviously because they need all this kind of an increase because of Apple Intelligence. This is really what this phone's all about, right? So 40% faster here as well in the GPU performance. That was actually really good. Let me just go back to the graphics over here. Here's the kind of the camera design. You can see the back of it. So I'll show you some pictures of the phone. I've been showing him as well, but obviously the phone, this is the way it's going to look. A lot of people had speculated on how it might look, and here we go. So it also claimed that it's got kind of 4 lenses in your pocket, and it's going to have a new macro lens. You can see the picture right here, but they took pictures of frogs and different things, and it was really, really close and really, really clear, which is really cool. So if you take macro photography, you do have a macro lens. Then you have a 0.5 times, a 1 times, a 2 times lens, and they showed how they use the algorithm to get it to do this. But basically, they claim it's a 4 different lenses in a single pocket. It's got a 48 megapixel fusion camera with 2 times telephoto lens. And they also mentioned that you can do spatial photos and videos now on it. So it's got a lens where you can actually take spatial, photos where you can do the kind of where it looks almost 3D for you. That's actually really cool and something that's brand new there. Let me just see what else we have. Redesigned Photos app. They talked about that, but we knew about that. That was coming. Let me go to the next one here. Let me see if there's anything else new in here. The colors, actually. So new vibrant colors here as well. You can see them down here. Black, white, purple, green, and kind of I don't know what this is, another purplish blue. So they're not really my favorite here, but who knows. USB-C cable, obviously, the A18. Is it a huge change? No. Is it a good change? Yes. It's something that you're going to need for Apple Intelligence, obviously. That's going to be one of the reasons a lot of people switch over. Colors and everything else, and even the cameras and stuff. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, all this stuff gets a little bit better, right? The cameras do, and we know that's going to be year to year, but most of the cameras from the iPhone 15 and even the 14s were good enough. So, you get the idea here. If you're a macro photographer, maybe you pick this up because of that, or obviously if you're going to be using Apple Intelligence quite a bit, it's a good pickup. But beyond that, there's really no need to, right? All right, so that was the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus. Then they actually went on. Let me just actually go down here. If I can get all the way down to the bottom, they went on to the iPhone 16 Pro and then basically the 16 Pro Max, which we're going to get into right now. Whoops, actually, before I do that, let's go back. Here's the iPhone 16 at $799, the iPhone 16 Plus at $899. I forgot to give you the cost of those, but they're right there. Now let's go on to the new ones. All right, next we actually moved on to the iPhone 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max. And here's the graphic right here. You can see it right here. So what really changed here? Well, they basically a couple things. Now it's going to be 6.3 and 6.9 inches. So they claim it's going to be the biggest, obviously almost 7 inches on an iPhone. Some of the biggest iPhones, I guess it is the biggest iPhone ever, right? So they made the sizes go up by that, 6.3 and 6.9 inches. They also said it's going to have the thinnest bezels of any Apple product right now. They shrunk the bezels, so it's going to be heavy, a really large, screen to bezel ratio, whatever you want to call that. It's made now out of titanium, grade 5 or grade 5 titanium. They kind of touched on that as well. You can see the colors over here. It's going to be black, they called it. I think they called this one white. They called this one natural, and then this one over here, I don't know if it's like desert sand or something like that, which they called it. So you can see the color here. I thought that was kind of interesting, but not really that important to me, right? Then beyond that, they said it's got the A18 Pro chip in it, which built into it. So the other one had the A18. This has got the A18 Pro chip. They claim it's the 3 nanometer chip. Same with the other one. The A18 is 3 nanometer as well, but the A18 Pro is 3 nanometer as well. So that's for all it's worth. Just wanted to throw that in there. It's got 16-core neural engine. They said it's 17% faster on the memory bandwidth than the actual previous version. They also said it's basically, let me just see here, 15% than the A17 Pro as far as the speed, and then 6-core GPU, 20% faster on the GPU than the A17 Pro as well. So anyways, when I started looking at all this stuff, the one claim to fame they had was this 4K at 120 frames per second. You can see the picture right here. But they showed like a whole thing of, I guess, the guy that sings The Weeknd. They were filming a music video for him, and they used the 4K at 120, and they were able to slow the video down. They wanted to do like slow motion and very, very clear 4K, and it looked phenomenal in the video. I don't know what they do to tweak it. Obviously, they talk about you can do ProRes, recording and all that kind of stuff. Overall, though, I know they probably have all the tricks in the world to get it to look like that, but it looked really, really good. That was kind of cool. And a couple other things. Let's get into the cameras now in a second. We'll come back to that. First of all, I had Wi-Fi 7, they said. That's kind of new here. You can see in here 2 times faster ray tracing, so it's going to be better for gaming and stuff like that. That was kind of cool. Best iPhone battery life on a Pro Max. They never got into the actual hours of it as far as I could tell, but they actually did mention that. It's got the same camera controls, things like that as far as the new camera button that I talked about in the previous version, where you can do a whole bunch of cool things, including taking pictures of stuff and having it give you information back, which I thought was really cool. 5 times telephoto. So let's actually get in. Let me just hear. Actually, before I do that, it did say studio quality mics with audio mix. So they had claimed that it has like these really, really good microphones, studio quality. I think they said 4 or 5 of them built into it, which is a lot of microphones for a phone. Don't get me wrong. All right, so here's some of the cameras. It has this fusion camera right here. You can see 48 megapixels right here. I guess the low light performance is down to 1.78 aperture, which is going to give you better low light performance. That was kind of cool. And then they have an ultra-wide camera right here, which is going to be the top one, 13 millimeter focal length, which is really cool, 1.4 quad pixel, and then a 2.2 aperture there as well. So that's going to be a 48 megapixel wide camera, which is interesting. And then finally, let me just see what else they have, if they have any other ones right here. Then they actually have a 12 megapixel 5 times telephoto camera right over here, 120 millimeter focal length. And then basically, what is this? Well, you get the idea. It says 100% focus pixels. Aperture is 2.8. So it's going to be a little bit worse with the low light, obviously, but it is a good telephoto, and it's still pretty good. I mean, you're not going to be able to take, in extreme low light, but I guess the software and stuff is always better now. It'll make those photos look really, really good compared to what they were just a couple generations ago. All right, so these phones over here, if you look, they're basically going to be $999 for the iPhone 16 Pro. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is going to be $1199, and this is obviously for the 256 version, $1199. This is a 128 gig version for the just the iPhone 16 Pro right there. So you guys can see the differences there. They also said that pre-orders for these will be on Friday. A lot of this stuff is going to ship the 20th of September, it looks like. So you can order a lot of this stuff right now, and then a lot of stuff will be shipping out on September 20th, which is really cool because you're going to be getting this fairly soon. And again, a lot of the software or the Apple Intelligence stuff will be coming out next month, they said. So you may get the stuff and you may not have all those capabilities right off the bat. All right, we're going to wrap this up. I hope I kind of touched on it. I mean, I probably did a terrible job. I'm not really good with these kind of videos because it's not just the things that I like to do or things I normally do, but I just figured I'd make kind of a quick video here just showcasing all the differences and what came out. And you guys tell me what's your favorite thing out of all this. I'm waiting for the Macs, to tell you the truth. I'm not waiting for this kind of stuff. I love Macs, and I don't, the phones and stuff are interesting to me. I know that's what sells the most, and I know people are super interested. But for me, it's the Macs. When the Macs come out and the Mac Mini, I'm going to do a really, really detailed video videos. So anyways, check out my channel because I normally do product reviews and Apple news, not so much this kind of stuff. Too many people do this, right? And then you end up competing against everyone. So I just do a quick one of this because it's not really, it is what it is, right? That's what I always tell people. So if you like me, you can watch it. If not, then watch another one. So we'll talk to you in the near future. Peace.